Hey everyone, this is my video on how to make my low-carb, flatbread, vegetarian pizza. The total macros for this pizza is 20 grams of carbs, 16 grams of fat, and 18 grams of protein. Alright, so let's get started. What you'll need is one entire sheet of Joseph's flax, oat bran, and whole wheat lavish bread. This is what I use for the pizza base. It's very, very thin. This entire thing is 14 grams of carbs. Next thing you'll need, I just use a pretty generic tomato sauce. I use about a quarter cup of this, and this equals 5 grams of carbs in total. This is like it's like a garlic tomato flavor. Next, I've got some sauteed kale. It's been sauteed with some garlic. Actually, I believe this kale was boiled, but you could use sauteed kale as well. For toppings, I have white onion, diced tomatoes, and then diced red and green peppers. I also have cauliflower rice. Cauliflower rice I just put on because it gives it a little bit more texture and it makes it kind of thicker since it is such a thin pizza. And then for cheese, since I am trying to watch my fats and my proteins, I'm using goat cheese. The macros for this are really good. It's actually 1/2 of what your average cheddar cheese would be. So for example, the fat on 30 grams of cheddar cheese, it's about 11 grams of fat. This is only 6. So I can use double the amount, and it's honestly a lifesaver. So you're gonna wanna start by preheating your oven at 350 degrees on convection. Next thing you want to do is get a decent sized baking pan and put one sheet of parchment paper on top. You're going to want to take this whole sheet and put it across. I'll just show you guys the macros for this. You can buy this at any marketplace really. You can also order this online, however the shipping is like really expensive, so I just find it at the marketplace. But these numbers are for 1/2 of this entire sheet, so in total there's 4 grams of fat, 14 grams of carbs, and 10 grams of protein in the entire thing. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out exactly 60 grams of this tomato sauce. You'll have the macros on the can. I just remembered what they are. So 60 grams is exactly 5 grams of carbs. You just make sure you want to get it on evenly. And then just use your spoon to even it out. Obviously it's not that much. You could probably add more if you wanted. I just have to be very careful with my carbs right now. So this is why I'm using a limited amount of all my ingredients. You don't want to spread it out all the way to the edge. I usually leave like some corners just because since this is so thin with the tomato sauce on top, it does get a little bit soggy when it does cook. So when the edges are hard, it gives you something to hold on to and you're able to actually eat it as a pizza. So the first vegetable you're going to want to put on would be the onions. Okay, now that we've got the onions on, we're going to add the peppers next. You do want to cut the peppers kind of thinner. I had to go back and recut these because they were too thick for my liking. Just because you're only cooking this for a short amount of time, considering it's such a thin product. So the peppers and onions don't really have that much time to get fully cooked. So you're just going to want to cut them thinner so they do get somewhat cooked. Okay, after the peppers are on, then you do the tomato. After the tomato's on, that's when I add the sauteed kale. So it's really important that you either boil the kale or saute it before you put it on the pizza, just because kale, it tends to get very, very crispy if it doesn't already have moisture in it. So by sauteing it or boiling it, you'll put moisture inside of it so it doesn't, you know, get burnt when you're trying to make a pizza out of it. So I do like to add quite a fair bit amount of kale just because I really like the taste of kale. I was actually going to use spinach when I first made this pizza, but kale was what we had, so kale was what I used. After the kale is on, you're going to want to put the cauliflower rice. The reason I do the cauliflower rice last is because it kind of blends in with the goat cheese and it gets a nice little like roast on it. So it tends to crisp up when it's on top of the pizza. I kind of treat the cauliflower rice as if it's like mozzarella or something, so I would just sprinkle it on evenly onto the pizza everywhere. Alright, lastly, I measured out exactly 56 grams of goat cheese. This has a total of 12 grams of fat, 8 grams of protein, and I don't think there's any carbs in this. So I finally am going to take the goat cheese and just sprinkle it all over the pizza. I do have a bit of a more moist goat cheese, so it's a little bit more difficult to crumble it up. It kind of just falls in chunks all over the pizza, but then again, that's not a bad thing, because then you get a really big piece of goat cheese in your mouth. Alright, and there you go. That is the raw pizza. So I'm setting the timer for 12 minutes, and then generally in this time I just wait in anticipation, maybe clean up. Mostly wait in anticipation until I take it out. So the 12 minutes is up, so I just normally let the pizza hang out in the oven with the oven a little bit open, and I just let it do that for 2 minutes. So now that you have your pizza made, you just want to take some tongs and take the pizza. It's very, very fragile. You just take the pizza and the tongs and then slide it onto a cutting board. So I've cut it up into 6 pieces. I'm just going to show you like how fragile it is. So typically when you eat an authentic Italian pizza, it's like this, and it's very droopy and it's very thin. So when you do eat it, you roll it up like that. Just a little forewarning, just so you don't make a big mess. And also, disclaimer, this pizza will make you very bloated, as the lavish bread that is underneath here is very fibrous. I'm also using kale and cabbage, which are both very fibrous veggies, so if you're planning to like do a photo shoot or go to the beach or go to the gym after eating this, I wouldn't. But if you're just like hanging out on your couch watching Supernatural like I'm about to do, then definitely I would make this. Alright guys, that is my pizza recipe. It's super simple. I hope you guys make it. Please leave a comment, let me know what you think. And I will see you guys in the next video.